I'm going to start off the shiur with a question. I would like the question I'd like to ask. I would like to have an intellectual answer, not an emotional answer for. Okay, so all women, please leave. Anyways, the question I would like to know is, if a person doesn't have any money, does he have to buy a little of an answer?
Yes, he does, but he can't.
And that, 1 second, that's a bad answer. It's a good answer. That's like what I call a rabbi answer. We'll find an answer. We'll deal with the issue. Let's say he lives on a desert island. No, you just said you don't really need to buy one because we can perform the mitzvah without it, right? What? So what?
He doesn't have any money.
So you're right. 1 second. You're right. He's not allowed to steal. If you steal one, then you're not yetsa anyways. That wasn't my question. But my question is, do I have to borrow in order to have a little of an esrog? What do you say, Mr. Beer?
I say yes. Or you can
You
sell
say yes.
something. Maybe you can sell something.
Maybe you can sell something. Okay. Let me ask you a question. A fifth of his money. I say he has no money. Why? He has plastic money. You don't have to have money. You can have plastic money, right? Okay. So 1 second. I would like to complain about all the people over here because I'm going to say over a halacha that I'm sure that you all are familiar with this halacha. The first halacha in Hilchos Shabbos is a person, and I would like to read it inside because it's really an emotional thing for me. Because you say, wow, if I would live at those times, we know that the Chafetz Chaim was a poor person. We know that. Anybody who knows history, he was so poor that when he got old, his hat didn't fit him anymore because his head shrunk, and he put newspaper inside of it in order to make sure that it wouldn't fall down. And on Shabbos, he took the newspaper out because of the chash of Hoitzah. And he used to, his ears used to hold up his hat. Now, if you want to know how bad his hat looked, don't laugh, okay? Because I'm going to bring this to contemporary times. Rabbi Morgenstern, I don't know if you know who he is. He's one of the noted Talmidim of Rabbi Yashiv. He said over in a hesped of Rabbi Yashiv the following story about himself. I didn't hear from him, so I haven't seen him since last night. But he said the following story about him and Rabbi Yashiv. When he was in Avrech, he was very poor, and his hat, let's say, had seen better days. And somebody told him, what? Maybe bought it secondhand, and he never saw better days in his. Anyways, so his hat saw better days, and he didn't have money to buy a hat. And his question was, should you take stock of money? What you do exactly about his hat? And he asked Rabbi Yashiv. And Rabbi Yashiv, if I'm not mistaken, he said, the way that your hat looks reminds me of the way the Chafetz Chaim's hat looked when I saw him. It looks about as bad as his did. Okay? So that's Rabbi Yashiv, just bring this up to contemporary times. Can't remember exactly what he said about it, but Chafetz Chaim was very poor. Why didn't anybody give him any money? If you had the opportunity, wouldn't you give him some money? Anyways, we'll leave that hang in the air, and we're going to read a halacha in Hilchos Shabbos. The halacha is that a person is obligated to kol ha'mahanig is a Shabbos, meisam nachal b'li v'tzorim, afnitzo me shibud malchiyos, kol ha'mahanig nosim l'mishalas liboy. All these romantic ideas of how great it is to be Shomer Shabbos. V'amar Rav Chia bar Abba kol Shomer Shabbos l'chasa afilo l'verizor machleloi imo Shomer Shabbos sachas. And nobody else to do anything to them. Oh, great! How wonderful Shabbos is, and I'm not playing this down. I just want to get to the bottom line over here. Where's the rush? Where does he say this? The tour. And then it says as follows. Then it says the follows. The v'hadam re'ochi vash afilu davar mu'et oisel chavet Shabbos v'oini v'amar Rava afilu kasha the hasna. You got to buy some kind of these little fishes, something to make Shabbos special. V'hainu lemisha shad chukaloi. So then your partner was just getting some fancy little fishes. But if you could do better than that, you have to have cholt and kishka. I don't know, whatever update. I don't know what exactly you got to have. The kama pomim. Now the tour is talking. The kama pomim nasasi v'nasati b'davar lefnei adoni ovi. Many times I asked my father the following question: Kimoni hayom. Somebody like me, my financial situation. Sheyeshli ma'at mishali. I have a little bit. Ve'eno maspikli. I don't have enough. I know a lot of people that fit into this category. V'tzarach ani lacherim. And I can't make it on my own. I need help from others in order to make it through the month. Im ani b'chlal aseh Shabbat chachol. Is my halacha, don't indulge and make your Shabbos better. Im lav. V'lo hishiveni davar borah. And the Rosh dodged the question. V'achar kach masasi pirkei Avos l'Rashi. And he gives a whole thing. So here we have, use this example that if you don't have money, so then you don't. It's such a standard. So everybody knows this halacha, that if you don't have money, then you don't. So what about if I don't have money for an essing in my potter? Okay, that's the question I'd like to ask. And I'll tell you that the Shari Tshuva says about this is similar in many sentences, you don't have money. You're called an oinus. It's not within your means. Got that? Now the word means, I'm not right now speaking about the way that we call the word means, your financial ability. I'm using the idea why that's called your means. That means it's not available to you. You don't have that option. Ken Sheffer.
It doesn't mean that you're an onus from the mitzvah.
What does it mean?
Means you don't have to buy it. You can use somebody else's.
Let's say that's you're a communist just like him. Let's say you live in a place where there's nobody else. So it's either borrow money and get one shipped in, or not have one. You're in jail. I don't know, whatever the situation is. Hello, I lost you.
I recall only some mitzvahs rabbanan you have to buy. The rices, some of them you do not have to buy.
Okay. I agree with everything that you said. Could you have some kind of formulation for that? Let's see the halacha. Okay. That was just an introduction to Hilchos Chanukah. I guess you could figure out why we're discussing this. Anyways, so the if you look in Siman, well, let's see. Before we get to Hilchos Chanukah, I just want to read to you a Shari Tshuva. If I'm not mistaken, it is. Yeah, it should be in here. Yeah, it should be over here. I'm right now reading in the middle of Siman Tafresh Nun Ches Shari Tshuva Yud Aleph. I'm just going to read it out loud. V'lani ezdaiti hama'ayim b'maril yirad l'nichal eloho. Rak svir lekedas hamaram. The goyim of Yavon. The svir le the afagav shem mitzvah hichoyvas hakuf. A person has an obligation to do the mitzvah. Mikomokom hichoyvas shemutu la'asoy soy b'memoinoi. Your obligation is to do it with your money. Umisha ein loy mom and liknois loy esrom. Who? What's the next word? Potter bimenu. It doesn't even say the word oinus. Ve'eno tzach lachzer al psachim. We're not going to learn this in depth. Maybe one day on a Yom Iyun or something, we'll be marchiv on this fascinating idea, right? This is not like common wisdom, I would willing to say. That's not what most people would say. That's what it says. Now, let's go back to what we're talking about. What did we just learn? What should be the halacha? Pater. What does it say? Why is that? So in other words, I just
It's the shayfa, it's because it's the Rabbanan.
what?
It's the shayfa, it's because it's the Rabbanan.
Could be. Well, I just want to wish him to understand the halacha over here. Be'etzem, you should be pater. That's called you don't have money. He didn't say if you don't have money, so now use the money that you don't have. He didn't say that. He says even though you don't have money, so you have the obligation to create money, so to speak. So how do you do that? You sell off your valuables that you need. So we're not talking about his 8th suit. Right? That's not what we're talking about. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, well, we'll see. Now the question is, you need a Megillah. That's a question. That's not Machalia. That has to do with this whole. That's a whole. I mean, or why? Mishum Presumei Nisa. Because of Presumei Nisa, so therefore this halacha is a greater halacha. Now says the Bir halacha. Rambam Lama came and did arba kaises. The zevazeh having mishum Presumei Nisa, and just like over there by Dalit Kaises, it says that a filo onion misparnis when a tzedakah has to get Dalit Kaises. So Rambam learns. So the same thing applies to Chanukah. If they didn't give him, the Gabbai tzedakah said, and this could really happen nowadays. I just want to mention something against all the, I call them computerized tzedakah situations. I'm going to, and this is not, I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just explaining to the fact that they're computerized. It's very frustrating that you can fall between the cracks. It's not, you don't fit into this category, you don't fit into this category, so we can't help you. We don't have,
You're not a category.
Yeah, you're not a category. You don't exist. I'm sorry. That's what happened. We used to have things called humanoids who would run tzedakah. So then you can find your place. You know what I mean? But these are issues. I'm not saying that computerized is a chesaron. I'm just saying that it has chesaronis to it that the human factor would take care of. So we have over here a situation that the person isn't able to get it from tzedakah for whatever reason. Maybe you came too late. We already sent out there are all kinds of answers that happen that are legitimate. I'm not right now picking on the system. I'm just saying that the system does not take care of all of the situations, and we have to take care of all the situations. Okay. Now I will
Sorry, I did not understand the Rav's comparison between Presumei Nisa for the Arba Kosot and for Chanukah. The Arba Kosot.
It wasn't mine, it was the Rambam's.
Because the Arba Kosot, you cannot get someone else to drink them on your behalf. But I seem to remember learning, if I'm not mistaken, that you can be say Presumei Nisa by looking and making a bock on a Chanukah that someone else has lit. So it seems to be two different inyonim.
Okay, I'm going to put you, and nothing personal, in the same group as the rest of you people, the communists that live with everybody else. I don't live in a place that there's anybody else.
Okay.
Okay, Because you can't. That's just a simple answer for your question. Technically, there are always situations. Could be a world that you could do that. You could live with somebody else, and there's all kinds of ways that you could do it. Not only that, I today saw a question. A person says, he wants to cheap out of Neres Chanukah. Is he allowed to sell his house and move on to a park bench? Are you allowed to do that?
Just rent it out. Use it as well.
Yeah, but I'm saying, fine. That's it. You can just move out of there also, whatever it is. Am I allowed to extradite myself from the situation of the Kiyum Mitzvah? The way this is set over on Purim is, can I go on Yodalit to Yerushalayim and Tesvav to Beit Shemesh? And whoever asks me that question, my response is, you could do that, but then you have to have 2 days of Tisha B'Av, right? But there's something wrong over here. You're obviously not interested in connecting with Yiddishkeit. You can have 2 days of Tisha B'Av. This is Parents, you want to say something? You have to turn on your microphone. Your mic is on. What?
Just to ask against the anti-communists here, if someone was on their own, completely on their own, so they've got no reliance on anyone else, where is the concept of Pisum Nisa?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Now, I will tell you that the Sharet Zion, and I'm just going to say this is very important, because I would like to say, what I'm going to say, an anti-Chabad statement. And this is a halachic anti-Chabad statement. This is not an anti-Chabad statement in whatchamacallit. The Bir Halacha, the Sharet Zion says that it seems, we'll just, we'll take a look at this over here. It's at the end of the Siman. Well, this has a different Sudas Hadaf, so we're not going to find it so easily. Yeah. It's at the end of the Siman. This is Siman Taf Reish Ayin Beis Sharet Zion Yud Zayin. Okay, you have it, parents? Mogen Avram, v'derech chayim v'chayod, v'sem chay Moshe echvizeh, v'daitoi, dem shachach o enes lo hidik at sheyoshnu kulam, everybody's sleeping, yokut shtayim v'shloshim mehem v'yadlik. Wake some people up. V'miyesh el hakitzem, v'kamokum yadlik v'yivarech, v'lefi divrei Mogen Avram, it comes out of silence. Im yiyah odom b'mokum she'ein ish af mi'anshei bayis, shom, person lives in no man's land, yadlik v'loy brocha. Are you going to say a person that has nobody to make Pesumah Nisa to is lights without a bracha? We didn't find any of the Paiskim who say such a far out halacha. The Adarabah. The Shulti Giburim Kosev Hashem Riyaz, the Afim who Ben Hanochrim Levadoi, Tzach Lahadli. Could somebody translate that to me? No, but what does he mean? Afim hu bein hanochrim. Is it better if you're by yourself? If there are goyim there, is there Pesumah Nisa to goyim? No. That's what it seems to say, right? So why am I saying this is an anti-Chabad thing? When I was younger, they used to have at the
Everywhere.
Yeah,
roundabouts. Anyway.
Right. Anyway, and there was the pashtus was for the goyim, not for the yidden. Right. That's the pashtus. So we're doing it at halftime.
No, that's not why they did. They did it for Jews. I'll tell you, that's b'vadai. They did it for Jews, and every place they did it, Jews popped out of the woodwork.
All right. I don't know that I'm not mistaken, but I remember them reading. They have a whole thing on that. It's even for goyim, which is not like the, not if I remember correctly, for what they write. But and I will just tell you something else, which is an important halachic thing as far as I'm concerned. You are not makayim any Pesumah Nisa by lighting at the football game or in the mall. according to Kamat, all Paiskin. It's not a Ner Chanukah. It's just like, what?
Why is it not there?
It's not a bind. What? I'm not gonna be so mean.
Why is it not a Ner Chanukah?
It's that issue, right?
Could what about if I would put a Ner Chanukah on the corner of Lachish and Soreg?
Yeah.
What
Is
did
there
I
a
do?
minion? Is there a minion there?
No.
Okay, then
I mean, I haven't checked. But as far as I know, there's no minion there.
So what is it for?
What?
What is it for?
I speak to the guys who have it on their car. I don't know.
Have to be a minion of-
No one says they're being yotze with the car.
But one second. Are you Yotze Ner Chanukah when you light in the football field? Can I be Yotze?
They're not being yotze. They're doing it for Presume Nisa. They're doing it at home also.
Is there any more Presume Nisa happening with that than handing out Happy Hanukkah cards?
I would think it is more, yeah.
Why?
Because they're actually seeing someone light. It's like lighting in shul.
It's like one second. What is like lighting in shul? Lighting in shul is some of the most difficult halachas to understand, and there it has special halachas to it. What has to be in order for you to make such halacha that you're not makayim a mitzvah with. This is the Achilles heel of this whole thing, where it is that you could really make a halacha. And in a shul, this is just like, and this is kamat. All the place can say a person, and I get asked this question every year, and I have a very difficult time answering the question about people who work with other people that are secular, and they want to light at work so that the people there will. I don't know how to enter it off the sentence exactly. Well, I don't know, you can serve them donuts without that. Remember, you're allowed to serve them donuts. They're called kosher anyways. What are you doing?
They're going to ask you, it definitely is a shoe, and then they're going to ask you why you're lighting.
But that's not the minion of Inya Presumeni says. That was out look. Is there any difference in lighting them than sending everybody an email of the Hanukkah story?
Yes, because psychologically, see you later.
Psychologically is not the mitzvah pursuing Isa.
I'm not talking about the theme of Hilchos Chanukah. It's to draw more people. It's a more sales
But
page.
yes, that is called false advertising.
What is the point of pursuing Isa on Chanukah? What's the purpose of it?
I can't answer the question. I don't know what the point of pursuing Isa crisis is either.
Okay, but I'm asking specifically for Chanukah.
Whatever it is that people should know is about the Nesa Kodesh Baruch Hu did.
Okay, so why is it not pursuing Isa if they light it?
The answer to the question is it was given in Chazal how to be Mafars in the Nes. If a person will light Hanukkah candles in the mall in the morning, is it pursuing Isa?
If he does it at home in the morning, is it pursuing Isa?
No.
Okay, so what's the difference where he does it in the morning?
No, but why doesn't the pursuing Isa if you do it in the morning at home? Because that's not the halacha of Anlakas Neis Chanukah.
Because the lights don't stand out in the day. That's why they made the halacha.
That's
no?
not the reason why.
Then why did they? Why did
if
they
you
say
live in the North Pole or the South Pole, I forgot where you have to live. In the South Pole, it's the South Pole. What's that? Someone help me? Where is it? Where is it that's light? The South Pole. If you live in the South Pole, you still have to light Hanukkah candles. Anybody want to take me on a trip?
But you're not going to make a bracha. It's not considered
If you daven Ma'ariv, they can make a bracha. If it's called night. Okay. Anyways. All right. Anyways.
So where, Rav,
what?
Rav, if we have, let's say, a Hasidic man who's living on his own and he follows the Hasidic minhag and he
There's no
likes,
such thing as a Hasidic man who lives on his own. He's already.
no, theoretically, and he lights his Chanukah on the dining room table where you can't see it from the street. So where's the Pesume Nisa there?
That is a wonderful question. That is a wonderful question. And if I'm not mistaken, the Gemara asked that question. And the Gemara says, Mishasa Konam Elach. So they said that you do it, according to some, without Pesume Nisa. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that there's no Pesume Nisa to you. And this is exactly the question. Forget about your Hasidic guy. Let's speak about our Litvish guy who lives in a place where there are no Jews. And that's exactly what we're learning about. He's in a place where there are no Jews, right? And nothing against the Chassidim, right? He's in a place where there are no Jews. So are you going to say that you do it without a bracha? It must be that if you're doing it at the right time, so then you do it without being Mekayim Presumini. So you're just missing part of the mitzvah. And this is the subject over here in the Shari Tzion. Umashma the Kosav came b'pshitos, that if you live amongst Goyim, that you still make a bracha. Sheyadik b'bracha. Elavada gim yochel afarsim adlogim ifnei rabim yoser odif. The ikar mitzvah is to light on time. I will ileka anoshim b'shvil zela yivatul mitzvah. Pesume Nisa is only a perk in the mitzvah. It's not the halachic criteria of the mitzvah. Now, the Sharetzion is not such a buyer into this thing. We call Makam Misharata. As some brachas lahakil, he wouldn't say that you should make a bracha. If you want to make a bracha, Misharata lina kavasa emachem yodai. I want to ask a question. I'm asking a question, an Iyum question. And whoever wants to answer this question, I take off my hat to you, even though I'm not wearing one. And I'm going to ask the following question. According to what we just said right now in the Shari Tzion, that Pesume Nisa is not a ma'akiv in the mitzvah. Do you hear the question? If the halacha is that Pesume Nisa is not ma'akiv, so how could it be that you give him from Mois Tzedakah because of the special aspect with Pesume Nisa? Why is everybody smiling? You should be crying. It's a good question. Shaffer, you want to answer the question?
They don't all agree that it's Pesume Nisa. Not everybody agrees that it's Pesume Nisa.
What is Pesume Nisa?
The reason that we light the candles.
So according to those, why is it that you give him tzedakah money? Why isn't he pater?
What would I say? It's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. We want to give them encouragement.
But that's not what it says. The Shulchan Aruch says, right? So according to the Shulchan Aruch, a person lives amongst Goyim. He lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he doesn't have any money. If you have money, ready to move to New York. He lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he says, Rabbi, I don't have any money. Should I light Chanukah candles or not? What is the rabbi in Albuquerque supposed to tell him?
Of course you light. It's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan to light.
So I get.
And you don't have to tell him you don't have to say it's Pesume Nisa. Because it's not.
I have to legitimize giving him tzedakah money for it. I'm going to write him out a check from my charity account. And I want to know, is that justified? Parents, you have to turn on your mic. We don't listen to you without a mic.
Can we say that when the Mechaber says that you've got a chiyuv even to sell your shoes or something, that only applies in circumstances where there will be a Pesume Nisa. But if you find yourself in the middle of nowhere, and there won't be in those circumstances, so you won't have to buy, or you won't have to sell your clothes in order to buy.
Okay, I'm willing to say that you could say such a dochuk. Nothing personal. I don't like your answer. Not that I don't like you. I don't like your answer. I think a better
mark off again then.
Okay. Okay. Ellie, you want to answer the question? Okay, I'm going to tell you. I think the question is not a good question. I'm gonna like to quote my daughter. My daughter yesterday, 2 days ago, we were speaking about something to do with Corona, and we're discussing statistics. So my daughter, she should be well. She said, if you follow statistics, it would mean that if you put your head in the freezer and your feet in the oven, you'd feel fine. So, well, just you can think about that for a minute, okay? Anyways, not everything is so square is what we're talking about. The purpose of the mitzvah is Persume Nisa. And it may not be ma'akev, but avada, that's the spirit of the mitzvah. So it doesn't have to shtim. It just doesn't have to. Not always is the spirit and the law in sync 100%. It still is a mitzvah Persume Nisa. And that aspect, even though it's not ma'akev, is important enough to upgrade the mitzvah that you can even get stuck for it. Well, I'm saying the laws over here are not justifying them, but it's in the spirit it is. You know, there's a loophole. There's a case of a loophole, a strange case. That's not the way. The mitzvah wasn't designed for that situation, but you still makayim the mitzvah. Anybody like my answer? I know none of you guys could throw tomatoes at me. I don't have to worry about these guys here.
So it's not really called Persume Nisa then. That's not Persume Nisa.
The mitzvah is a mitzvah to be mafarsem. Now, sometimes you're not able to do it. It doesn't mean that it's liikuva. It doesn't mean that it's liikuva, but that's what's supposed to happen. That's what you're supposed to do. It's not liikuva.
So you're supposed to do it because it's a mitzvah, not because of Persume Nisa.
I want to ask you a question, okay? I'm right now asking a lumdish a question. And whoever didn't say Brich HaZatar with Kavanah, I don't know if you're able to answer this question. Is Tefillah b'tzibur a chiyuv or not a chiyuv? This is a big machlokes achronim. I one time spoke to Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky personally, and he said to me that Tefillah b'tzibur is only a chumrah in Tefillah. Not only that, if you look in Shulchan Aruch, the wimpiest lashon that could be Yishtadel Adam l'spalo b'tzibur. Can anybody translate those words for me? I don't even know how to translate that.
Make an effort.
You should attempt.
Can you? Okay, so now that you said it in English, can you translate that into something I can understand? What does that mean? Make an effort.
Do the very best you can to find a meaning.
Do you have to, or you don't have to?
You don't. Bottom line, you don't have to if there are extraneous circumstances preventing you from doing so.
And if they're not extraneous, then you have to.
Yes.
Or you don't have to. No, this is I say. No, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem translating the word yishtadel into English. I know what it meant. I just don't know what it means, right? So, anyways, it's a machlokes apaiskim. What the bottom line? How do we read that? So now, if somebody says that tefillah is important because tefillah is done b'tzibur. So if I don't have a tzibur, I shouldn't daven. It's a tefillah, but it's not, you know, it's not just a perk in tefillah. Tefillah b'tzibur is a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. This is this week's parsha, right? We're discussing that issue of tefillah, right? It's a whole different thing. So we have a lot of times we have ideas and concepts, and you have what we call loopholes, situations that don't fit with it exactly. But avada, the purpose of the mitzvah is to be Persume Nisa, and that end is very important. It doesn't have to be ma'akev. Just like Mikra Megillah is also Persume Nisa, and everybody's masking you could do Mikra Megillah b'yichidus. Why did anybody jump on me and ask me that question? Nobody ever imagined that you can't do Mikra Megillah by yourself, right? It's the Mishnah says it's Mikra B'Yochid. Yeah, Balkois is in your house. Yeah, and hopefully you have guests. Then you say Halach Manya. Anyways, it was Corona this year. Anyways, so I just pointing out, even though that could be the concept behind, it doesn't always have to pan out in reality exactly the way the concept is, right? that's the way the ball balances in life. This is a real life, so to speak, a real life halacha. So anyways, I believe that the question's a toys. When it's a toys, I don't mean that's a toys to ask the question, but it's not as difficult as it seems on paper. This is just keep in mind, you have your head in the freezer and your feet in the oven, everything is fine, okay? Okay, if you learn something like that, that's you learn tonight, that's fine. Okay, let's get back to the halacha over here. That's his question. He says, why can't I make it? What's the difference between living and not waking up your bnei bayis and living in Wichita, Kansas?
What was the answer to this theory? You just said that if you live in Wichita, Kansas.
So it says just like if you live in Wichita, Kansas, you could make a bracha. So too, if everybody's saying yes, you could also make a bracha. That's what the shita says. Right. So you don't have to pursue an isa in ishkavelach.
Saying that if you have a bnei bayis and don't wake them up, then you can't.
Right. So the answer to that question, we're not learning that halacha now. The answer to that question, which many Mefarshim say, is when you're lighting on time, then it's not ma'akiv. When you're lighting late, then you need to have the pursuing nisa. When you're doing kafi ikar takana, so then you give writing on time. That's the answer, and that has to be explained. Maybe if we go. No, could be. Yeah, that could be. That's an answer that someone to say. All right, I guess we'll stop over here. We'll continue next week. Mitzvah shall become rich by next week without this question.